Hey millionaire, we all have our favorite celebrities. You might like them because they're super talented, because they play your favorite character, or because you admire their bank balance. But it can be pretty hard to tell what they're really like when they're not being charming on a talk show. But you know what they say, never meet your heroes. That's because some celebs are actually real jerks in person. You're allowed to enjoy their work, and you can definitely admire their huge piles of cash, but these celebrities aren't worth chatting to. Here's our list of the biggest celebrity jerks who are super wealthy. I guess a big bank balance doesn't equal a big heart. Let's find out who's on our list and all the terrible things they've done. Number 7. Chevy Chase. Did you know that Home Alone would never have existed if Chevy Chase hadn't been such a jerk? That's right, the whole film was written by John Hughes for Chris Columbus, the director, as a sort of apology for the way Chase had treated Columbus at a get-to-know-you dinner for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You know someone's bad when a beloved franchise had to be invented to make up for your behavior. But that was far from the only time Chase had been awful to people. Honestly, there are so many stories about his terrible behavior that it deserves its own video, but I'll give you a few highlights. He's well known for being the worst host SNL has ever seen, and that's saying something. He got into a legendary fight with Bill Murray backstage right before filming started on one episode, all because Bill was rightly angry that Chase had got Jane Curtin kicked off the Weekend Update desk. As they were pulled apart, Bill Murray had the last word when he screamed "medium talent" at Chase. Backstage during a separate episode, he told Robert Downey Jr. that his dad had gone to hell for no reason. Luckily, Robert Downey Sr. was still alive at the time. And that's just the stuff we're willing to repeat. We're not going to get into the stories behind his treatment of female writers that made Will Ferrell hate him. And we're not going to repeat what he said to Terry Sweeney, SNL's only openly gay cast member at the time. It's worth mentioning he's banned from hosting now, but he hadn't changed by the time he started Community. Let's just say it's a miracle that Donald Glover and all the female cast members didn't stage a walkout. These days, he hardly has a career anymore, but it's not hard to see why. Number 6. William Shatner. Remember the Comedy Central roast of William Shatner? Remember how good everyone thought it was? That's because the people roasting Shatner weren't joking. They just hate him. Just ask his Star Trek co-star, George Takei, who began his feud with Shatner about 40 years ago. Takei described Shatner as rude and self-centered and says he often pretended that Takei wasn't in the room while they were filming Star Trek. You know, like a 3-year-old does. And the rest of the Star Trek cast agrees. They gave him the nickname Captain Jerk after he refused to attend Leonard Nimoy's funeral. And he often shouts over his fellow actors when they're answering questions at conventions. And be warned, he's just as rude to his fans. But don't worry, soon he won't have any fans left to be a jerk to. Can you hit subscribe before another celebrity is a jerk to one of their fans? I guess you have about 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's another celeb's reputation ruined. Keep watching to find out who took our number 1 spot. Number 5. Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was one of the most recognizable faces of classic Hollywood, made famous by her charming and funny roles. But that was a persona she saved for when she was in front of the camera. Off-screen, she was extremely rude to just about anyone, especially if they weren't a star. One story describes how she completely ignored a flight attendant until her assistant was forced to tell the attendant that Mrs. Ball doesn't speak to the help. Ouch. Iconic actor Richard Burton hated her and was pretty vocal about it. In his memoir, he described her as a monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor. You gotta wonder what she did to him to deserve a burn like that. Number 4. Mike Myers. There's no doubt Mike Myers is one of the most talented people in Hollywood. You can't be the star of hits like Austin Powers, Wayne's World, and Shrek without being pretty great. So you've got to wonder why his face hasn't been seen in a movie in so long. There's a good answer. Nobody wants to work with him anymore. It's true that he's picky about which projects he takes on, but he also burned a lot of professional bridges. Those who have worked with him all agree that he micromanages everyone on set, from crew to fellow cast members. As if that's not bad enough, he often uses anger and temper tantrums to get what he wants. Bizarrely, more than one person has also mentioned that he has yes men following him around the set and feeding him chocolate from a Tupperware container. He's not much nicer off-set either, often choosing to be rude to fans, even children. That seems like a step too far. Has a celebrity ever been a jerk to you? Tell us about it in the comments. Have you guessed who took our number 1 spot yet? Keep watching to find out. Number 3. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise sure is a divisive character. Some people insist he's a great guy, but many people who have met him tell a very different story. He's apparently easily angered and unpredictable. He's weirdly aggressive with everyone, from co-stars and crew to fans, interviewers, and even loved ones. Katie Holmes saw the worst of this side of him. She's kept relatively quiet about their divorce, but we do know that he had a list of weird rules she needed to follow in the marriage. Even after she left, for one, she was forbidden from ever speaking to his other ex-wife, Nicole Kidman. Sounds more like high school drama, more than a divorce between two adults who share a child. Recently, he got on the people's bad side again for telling the Navy sailors on the set of Top Gun 2 that they're not allowed to talk or look at him. The Navy denied he treated anyone badly, but you'll have to decide who you believe. Number 2. Shia LaBeouf. I don't think anyone will be surprised to see Shia LaBeouf on this list. He's well known for being one of the biggest jerks Hollywood has ever seen. He's known for screaming at people in public and starting fights, but his terrible behavior doesn't stop there. He loves publicly talking about hookups, which is seriously rude, but at least the hookups stayed hookups. His ex-girlfriends were treated even worse. When FKA Twigs filed a lawsuit against him for emotional and physical abuse, his past girlfriends all came forward to back her up because he treated them all like dirt. But it's not just his personal life where he shows his nasty side. As a professional, he made headlines when he openly plagiarized a comic by legendary writer Daniel Clowes and turned it into a short film without any rights to the work and without crediting Clowes at all. As if that wasn't bad enough, LaBeouf then spent the next year mocking Clowes on Twitter and attempting to steal more of his work. It seems like even lawyers are confused about how to deal with this weird behavior. Still, Clowes says he's forgiven Shia anyway. I can't think why. And finally, the celebrity we think is the biggest jerk of all. Number 1. Chris Brown. He's another name that won't surprise you. Chris Brown has done so many awful things in public that it seems he's finally fallen out of favor with fans. And that's pretty good, because nobody seemed to be doing anything to stop him. Who can forget the police photos of his ex-girlfriend Rihanna's face after he punched her in his Lamborghini? In case anyone doesn't know, Chris Brown claims the fight started because he cheated on Rihanna and denied it. Rihanna got upset when the girl showed up at a party, and she found a text from the girl on Chris's phone. I think she was right to be angry in that case. He says he feels bad about it now, but it wasn't the only time he punched a fellow star. Frank Ocean also saw Brown's aggressive side after he told Brown that he'd parked in his designated spot outside a Los Angeles recording studio. Brown punched him in the face before two of Brown's crew got in on the action too. Brown even threatened to shoot Ocean in the middle of the brawl, but he later denied being in the fight, even though everyone knew he started it. He doesn't sound like someone you'd want to hang out with.